Hey John, so we're here in Forest Hills near Station Square, and we are looking at the site of the
old Forest Hills Theater.
Yeah, the old Forest Hills Theater, and of course we're here to walk and talk the site of the Freund shooting, the very controversial Freund shooting according to Maury Terry. But where are we now?
We're on Continental and right off Austin Street, between Queens Boulevard and Austin Street.
So let's walk through that evening, because really everything kind of started at this theater right here. Now this is the old, I guess, what is it called again? The Continental? No,
the Forest Hills Theater.
Forest Hills Theater. Let's take a better look at it. So, one of these old school New York theaters that don't exist anymore. Two stories, very old. Now everyone, so we can orient ourselves. Station Square is down there, right under that, right beyond that underpass.
And it's pretty interesting how close, you know, when you read the account of this night in The Ultimate Evil, it seems like John Deal parked a mile away.
Yeah.
Look, it's literally a couple of hundred yards away. From the theater to Station Square.
It's basically a football field away.
I remember reading and saying, why did he park so far away?
Right.
I mean, it was actually a pretty good spot.
It was actually super close.
Yeah.
So really, in a sense, all of the, does this have like a plaque on it? Sorry.
Forest Hill Theater building, yes.
Yeah. So in reality, all of this stuff that we are looking at today with the Freund shooting is really very close in proximity to one another. It was a very short and sweet, in terms of the locations, a very concentrated area.
Yeah.
So why don't we then reenact sort of, oh, we can kind of see in here.
Yeah, this is a Five Below now that they're making. You can see
it's a little hard to see through the glass, but
you could see what was probably
seating,
part of the floor from the theater.
Right, aisles, seating, maybe, possibly. Super cool.
Yeah, so John Deal and Christine came here to see the movie Rocky.
And what happened was apparently there was a big line here at the theater. He figured, let me drop her off.
Let her get the tickets.
Get the tickets.
So we don't get sold out.
Right. And so she waited there. He goes and parks literally just a hop, skip, and a jump in Station Square down here, which we'll go into in a second. Now, what happens after they get out of the movie theater?
So they decided to go for a couple of drinks and a snack at the wine cellar.
The wine gallery.
The wine gallery, I'm sorry.
Which was on this street right here.
Which is yes, we're now on Austin Street.
So real quick, do we have a sign? Like
right here, 71st and Continental Avenue and Austin Street.
Right, we'll see that sign when we come back. But this is the famous Austin Street where John and Deal, after the movie.
John and Christine.
Sorry, John and Christine. I apologize for that error. They walked either down this block or across the street down to the wine gallery, which of course in and of itself was very, very close as well.
Yeah, you know, it's unbelievable how close all these locations are. I had no idea. I mean, you know, Maury would write a quarter of a mile, and which it might be a quarter of a mile, but it's actually 2 short blocks.
Right. From
the parking spot to the theater, from the theater to the wine gallery.
It's a nothing walk. So what's interesting about this neighborhood back then was that there were 3 theaters. The one that we just saw, the Forest Hills Theater, and now we are coming up on, what was this, the Continental Theater?
I think so. I think it was the Continental.
Yeah, this was the Continental. So this is actually, this building right here houses another movie theater, or housed another movie theater, and the wine gallery, and we'll get up to it very, very shortly. Yeah, just showing you guys what else is in this neighborhood. The very busy Queens Boulevard is up there. But this area of Forest Hills is kind of like a little villagey enclave within a much more urban environment. It's actually really cool.
Yes.
All right, so this is the former Continental Theater. And it was one of the first two-story, if not the first two-story movie theaters in the entire United States, which is, I guess, one of its claims to fame. But let's cross, because this current restaurant, Mojo, was the wine gallery where they went to eat.
Yes. Now they're not open yet, but you can get a peek in and you can see.
A little hard to see. Let me see if the lighting's better over here.
Yeah, you can see a bar area in a second level, which is
Right, there's a
exactly how it was described.
That neon thing that you see, it's a little hard to see through this glass, obviously, but that neon stripe that you see is a staircase going up. So yeah, this makes sense. This looks like the description of the former wine gallery.
Yes.
So now Klausner in his book, we just gonna have to say that there's different locations given to the theater that they went to.
Yes.
Maury has them going to that one back there, the Forest Hills. Some other accounts, I believe, have them going to Forest Hills, but Klausner, whose book, by the way, is filled with factual errors.
Tons of them.
Right.
Yes.
He has them coming here to this theater right here.
Yeah, so this was the Continental, which
Right.
is not the right theater.
I don't believe it is. 7020 Austin Street, the former site of the wine gallery. And yeah, maybe we'll see that this was once a theater too. Hard to see through all this glass here, but this is giving me seriously like early 80s vibes, 70s vibes.
It's a shame, but I picture all these old movie theaters, and it's a shame they're all gone.
Right. So this is a very large building, goes all the way to the end there, so it must have been all theaters at one point and so on and so forth. All right, so
it's here where John and Christine, after waiting a couple of minutes for a table, sat down, had a couple of glasses of wine, some snacks, and according to the Ultimate Evil, it's also where Christine felt uncomfortable and noticed that Bill Menser was sitting behind her.
yeah, Manson 2 was in here. They just happened to know where they were going to go eat after the movie. They happened to know where the movie was. They were such good assassins that instead of killing them in private, they decided to do it in the middle of a huge intersection.
It's funny also because we know John and Christine had to wait for a table, and as soon as they sat down, Manson 2 and his henchmen were already sitting right next to them.
Right, they were
so
already
he probably
there.
had pull. He got a table before them after following them here.
Oh, right, and he knew, and he was gonna. He said, "Okay, we're gonna get here and make sure you sit us next to this table where some theoretical people are gonna sit in 5 minutes." It's ridiculous. All right, so I actually want to kind of reenact it. So they walk out of here. Now, they're coming out of here. This is the view they would have seen. Well, not this dining shed. They would have seen that building there, which was probably there back in the day.
So now we're after midnight. It's a very cold night with snow and ice, patches of ice on the ground.
And so they're walking back to their car. They've just had a nice evening, a movie, dinner, and so on and so forth. And so they take the nice night walk back to their car, and they have to walk back on this street right here, and it's most likely they walked on this side of the street because why would they cross?
Right. So we'll walk straight down Austin Street.
Nice day to film today, John. Nice low humidity.
Oh yes.
When we were here with Voscarici, and it was insane. It was like a bathtub.
It was sweltering that day. Too humid.
Yeah. Lighting's better too, which is good. So, yeah, so just so you guys get an idea of this little village of Forest Hills, it seems like 71st is the dividing line between like the old school architecture and this sort of like, you know, kind of like 80s, 60s, 50s type of architecture over here.
Yeah, and also, like this is the commercial and I guess middle class residential. But as that expression goes, the other side of the tracks, once you cross the tracks past Station Square, it becomes a pretty exclusive upper class neighborhood.
Exactly.
Very gorgeous.
Super, super duper nice. So, all right, so now we're at 71st and Austin. And I've come up with I'm using a term for this, which I took from JFK. This is essentially the kill zone. Once they turn this corner, that's it. Their fate was sealed.
Oh yeah.
So this is the corner of 71st and Austin. Let me show you the sign. So John, there was like an issue with now them bumping into somebody. Let's talk about this real quick, and then we're gonna kind of like split up and reenact something.
Yeah. So as John Deal describes in his police report, at this point they crisscrossed to the other side of the street,
Right.
in the middle,
Because they're parked on that side.
because they were parked to the
Through-
left,
right.
past the station.
So he says that they turn this right here,
Turn right.
and then they cross the street.
Exactly, to walk into Station Square from that side of the street, which we can't do because they have blocked off, but we can walk on the street if you
Right,
want.
let's do that. Now, Berkowitz kind of gives a very similar story. We have to say that John Deal was not sure whether it was Berkowitz that he actually crisscrossed and bumped shoulders, but Berkowitz in his confession tells almost the same story.
We put on our coats down in the bar because there's a few steps up there. We went downstairs, we put on the coat and went outside. And we started walking up, right? And she was walking towards the building, and I was walking on this part. I walk in, sliding along the ice. And that's what, I think I bumped into that guy. I'm not positive, I can't say it was him or something like that. But I bumped into somebody and they said, I'm sorry. Because this came to me later on. There's one guy I bumped into.
Do you remember how that person was dressed?
He had a coat on. This is, I know, 3/4 coat, something like that. Maybe longer than this a little bit, down in the knees around there.
You know what color it was?
Nah, it was nighttime. I don't remember if it was gray or something like that. I have no idea. I don't remember it anymore.
Did he have glasses or a beard or mustache?
No beard. I know that for a fact. There was no beard in mine. And I just that as I was down like this with the hands in my pockets, sliding along. With this shoulder I might have bumped into him. You know what I mean? And I just glanced up. I didn't look at the man or something. I'm sorry. Because I was on the side of him already. You understand? As I'm sorry. I just got a little glimpse of him. I don't know.
Did he have hair?
I don't even remember that. I tell you, to be very honest. No.
So Manny, I'd imagine at this point is where the almost bumping happens,
Right.
according to the ultimate evil.
According to Berkowitz's confession, really. Like, I don't want to use the ultimate evil even as a reference because we can't take anything as fact.
Yes.
But the police report says that they crossed here. They crossed the street here to get to the other side, and
Continue to walk the station to the
they
station
continue to
square,
walk under there.
which is blocked off. So we're just going to walk right around.
Right. And now Berkowitz is coming up here most likely. It was between Burns, which is that intersection there, and 70 and Austin, which is
Yes.
where this crisscrossing took place. We don't know whether it was definitely Berkowitz, but Deal said that he bumped shoulders, and Berkowitz says the same thing.
Deal actually says it happened more towards the restaurant. Berkowitz and Morey said it happened in this area.
Actually, from the book I got it that it happened right when he walked out of the
Restaurant.
wine gallery, right.
Yes.
It was almost as if Berkowitz was holding the door for him. That's kind of what I assumed reading the book. Anyway, either case, all signs point to this area being the beginning contact, if there was, between Berkowitz, Deal, and Christine Freund. So, John,
At this point, Christine Freund has about 5 minutes to live.
Right, exactly.
You're ready to walk back to the car.
Now at this point, there's a controversy. It's like, how did Berkowitz approach the car? Maury says that it was impossible to go from the back, right? Let's go over into here, because this is just too dangerous. I just want to deal with this for a second, because we're going to now reenact something. Sure. We're going to reenact and kind of fact check Maury. Let's stay in the light. So real quick, let's just tell the audience like what the issue is.
Okay, so we're going to show you the exact spot that John Deal was parked in. And John Deal and the whole controversy and the ultimate evil rests on the fact that John Deal feels since his car was facing forward, he would have seen anybody that walked towards them and behind their car. They'd be in a position to shoot them.
Right.
And he never saw anybody walk by.
Right, he never saw anybody walk by the front of the car.
Front of his car.
And Maury kind of used that to make it seem like it was impossible for Berkowitz to approach from any other point.
Right.
Except for the front. And he also kind of made it seem like this is proof that there was more people involved, because Berkowitz couldn't have approached the car from the back.
Exactly.
So what we're trying to test out now is, could Berkowitz have hidden in a sense in plain sight, approached the car from the back, and shot Christine unaware, and with Deal being completely unaware of anybody walking towards or behind the car. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna play Berkowitz and you're gonna be Deal. We just have crisscross, so let's do this. So you walk down here. You're Christine and John, and I'm Berkowitz. Whoops. So we're walking, and we crisscross right here. So John's gonna walk to the car, and now I'm gonna be Berkowitz. I'm gonna stand right here. I'm gonna see John walking with Christine. I'm gonna just start walking behind them. John is right over there. Okay, John and Christine. So now John and Christine are turning towards their car. He's not noticing me. He's hanging out with his girlfriend. Oh, look, all these hidden places that I can go and hide. Oh, I'm gonna keep my eye on him. They're walking towards there. Maybe I'll just hang out here for a second. Maybe I'll just chill behind this pole while I watch John do his thing. All right, him and Christine are getting into the car. Now I'm gonna just kind of walk this way. Oh, look. Major concrete stanchions I can hide behind. Oh, and look, I have a perfect view of where they parked. So I can chill here. No one's seeing me. They're in their car, they're doing their thing. By the way, notice how busy this is here. Now, they were at midnight, granted, they were at midnight, but this is not isolated area. This is a very busy area. There were movies letting out, there were restaurants, people leaving. There's a Long Island Railroad station right here. This is not a quiet, sleepy little village. So Berkowitz could have walked all around here, completely unnoticed, probably many people around. He's right here. Oh, look, there's John and Christine's car right there. So all he really needed to do was make himself inconspicuous just by walking normally, which I'm doing right now. He could have kept an eye on proceedings over there, making sure that they're not going anywhere. He could have come over here. Oh, look, he's behind them. Now he's behind them. Oh, I want to hide even more. Make sure that I'm really doing this correctly. There's John and Christine. They're facing the other way. They're not noticing anybody behind them. He's coming here. He gets to this intersection at Station Square and Burns, where he proceeds to turn left, coming up behind just John and Christine. Where they are parked right here. He comes up behind them. Bang, 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 bang. 3 shots, dead. They don't even know.
Yeah.
Right here.
So, so like we were saying, the whole premise is focusing this way. Deal says he never saw anyone walk past the car here, but as you just showed, it's very easy to cross the street and
yeah,
kind of back around.
The route I just took is completely inconspicuous by anybody, anyone. And one point I was making during the walk around was that this area was not quiet. And wow, sorry, just had to break character for a second there. This area was not quiet and deserted. It was 12:30 on a Saturday night?
Was a Saturday night.
Movies, theaters letting out, restaurants letting out, train station. We saw police reports of people letting off people at train stations. There were cars here. There were plenty of people around. Berkowitz could have easily fit in.
It was actually a Beefsteak Charlie's restaurant across the street.
Right there.
There was a bar. I'm not sure which one was the bar, if it was across or here.
Right. So what I'd like to do now is then run through really quickly while we're in this square. And also, I want to run through really quickly the shooting and then what happened with the intersection. But another thing that I want to point out is just look how many witnesses there would have been, right? Potential, I should say. Look at all these apartment buildings and windows facing the street here, right?
The fact that nobody saw Berkowitz running away that night is actually astonishing.
It's a total miracle.
Yes.
Now, we're not sure exactly where he parked. It's very unclear in admittedly a very bad confession. They didn't really question him very well.
Yes.
Klausner has him parked on Greenway Terrace, which is right here.
Which is that way.
Sorry, that right there.
Yeah. And it's a private street now. You're not allowed to park, but I assume back then maybe it wasn't.
Right.
But it's also hard to use Klausner's book as word.
Klausner has so many errors. So, you know, where he parked actually isn't as important in this story as it is with Voskerichian, because we have witnesses talking about where he parked and potentially where he parked and people seeing him in Voskerichian as opposed to Freund where no one saw him. So, all right, so Christine gets shot. Why don't we reenact this? So this is their car. It basically was parked right here.
So at this point, Berkowitz does the shooting, and John Deal instantly gets into a panic. He's frantic. He jumps out of the car and he's looking for somebody to help him.
Right.
He's screaming, I need help, my girlfriend was shot.
Yeah, someone shot her, or they shot her, and he's running around here like a chicken without a head, screaming. People are starting to come to their windows, looking out, and so on and so forth, seeing him scream.
I think he even ran across to the Forest Hill Inn. And
he did. He ran into the Beefsteak Charlie's, found that
a man was standing out there and refused to help him.
Right.
They didn't know if he was just crazy or if he was the one causing the commotion that was happening.
Right. People thought that he was drunk and just causing a commotion.
So he's in a panic and he's having a hard time finding anybody to help him.
So he's running around here trying to find help.
And at this point, he runs to this corner, which is the intersection of Continental and Station Square.
And Burns Street, which is that street right there.
Yes, Burns.
So he's freaking out in this intersection here, screaming around. The car is his car is still back there.
He approaches a car at the light, and the husband actually gets out, and he's trying to ask him for help. And the wife tells the husband to get back in the car. There's also another version where he jumped in the back of the car.
Right.
And then they drove him back to the car. where Christine was shot.
Right. Just showing you how crazy it all was, because it was only 30 to 50 feet. You didn't need to drive anywhere. You could have run quicker, but they weren't thinking right.
Yeah.
So then the guy drives him back to the car. Those people then go to the 112th precinct to get the police. The police show up within 4 minutes after that. And meanwhile, then Deal gets back into his car, freaking out. He then proceeds to drive 40 feet. No one's helping him, so he stops his car.
And blocks the
He
intersection.
just blocks the intersection. Do you have that picture? I'll show
we'll
it.
add it,
I'll show it in the video. So there's a picture where, which we're showing now. We weren't exactly sure where it was, but we think. It's funny. Every time we talk about a blue car in the intersection, there's always a blue car in the intersection.
Yeah.
We think he was parked like right over here because we see a window in the background, and we think it was that window there. But
Yes.
again, we're not sure exactly. It's really hard to tell from the grainy photo.
It seemed like that window was in the picture, the one just beyond the overpass. But it might have been that window in the corner.
Right.
But I'm sure the people in the chat will figure it out.
Exactly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to stand where we think the car might have been, and then I'm going to superimpose the photograph into the video. So we think the car was right here, blocking this intersection right here. But we're not exactly positive. So John, it's a pretty cut and dry case. We're gonna deal with all the conspiracy stuff and all of the anomalies and all of the police reports comparing Maury's story to the factual reality on the ground. We're gonna do that in our live streams. We wanted to come out to this site and sort of like just kind of show it to you, give you guys a feel for it, go through the story, show you the locations, because I can't speak for you, John, but I'm gonna just say that nothing beats being here.
Oh, it's amazing how close everything is in proximity to each other, and just to see the scene.
Right.
And it you know, it's funny because I hate to keep bringing up the book, but when you read the book about this shooting, you're led to believe that there's one way to get to where their car was.
Right.
And
there's no hiding places.
There's no trees. Which
Oh,
there
there's no
were
trees. Right, there's no trees.
There's no back street to get in here. There are several other streets you can get in here.
Right. And also, one of the things that really struck me once I saw this area was that this would be the last place that a meticulous satanic hit squad who was going after Freund because of some affair or whatever it was, whatever the story is of the day.
Especially 5 weeks in advance of your next shooting. I mean, I guess the next one was even dumber than this one, using that logic.
Yeah,
But
like,
yes.
why would they come here to do it? Why wouldn't they just go to her house or where she worked or in the subway or wherever and do that? They picked the worst possible spot.
So Manny,
Yeah.
this is the final spot where his car was. And the next thing that happens is a woman actually gets out of the car, grabs Christine, and she's trying to see if she's has a pulse and if she's all right. And it's at that point where the police
Come, and then
yeah.
everything there is, part of the public record and history from that point on and documented.
Christine died less than 4 hours later.
Exactly, not just a few blocks away from here in a hospital, in Queens here. All right, well, John, I think that's pretty much what we needed to show today. I think that we did a good video. We got everything we need to do. And of course, please, everyone, watch our companion live streams to this walk and talk, because that's where we're really going to get into the serious weeds and specifics of this case.
Do we want to treat the Ultimate Evil fans to the tree spot where Berkowitz could have been hiding?
Oh yeah, let's do that. Right,
Let's
let's
give
do
them a
that
quick-
before we just had almost had a false ending right there.
Let's just treat them.
Right, because Maury said that there was no trees in this area. He had to lug a spruce.
He must have brought them from Yonkers.
Right, he must have brought a spruce from Yonkers. Well, I see a spruce there. I mean, that's literally a spruce. But now, just to be fair, these plants might not have been here in the 1977, but we have photographs that you sent me of this place in 1966 with the same landscaping.
Yes.
So I doubt that this was bare.
There were always trees here.
Right.
This
And
tree necessarily, well, you would know better than me about how old this tree is.
this tree is not old enough to have been here.
But obviously, this has always been the design.
Right.
Trees on each side,
Right. And let's
garden in the center of the square.
And let's just say that there was a tree here. Let's say it was this tree. This isn't a spruce, but it's a Chamaecyparis. Close enough.
This is a,
And it's literally right behind the car.
it's literally, if Berkowitz had to hide for a minute or two, it's literally
If this tree was there.
this is the grassy knoll. Literally.
Exactly. It's ridiculous already. I mean, this is the stupidest shit in the world when you actually put Maury's stuff to the test. Uh-oh, John, it's a sign. A parking ticket. I found a parking ticket.
Wrong shooting.
All right, John. So listen, great video. I think everyone's going to really enjoy this. Any last words before we say goodbye?
Thanks for having me, and talk to you later.
My pleasure, John. All right, guys. So listen, thanks for pressing play, and we will see you at the next Son of Sam video. Thanks a lot, guys.